DeepSeek for implementing the repository pattern and the unit of work in C#. How good is this AI model given a very simple task of generating code for this common design pattern? Short answer, DeepSeek gets the implementation very wrong. In fact, creates some hidden technical debt that will be hard to recognize if the code is not reviewed or the developer doesn't fully understand the patterns. I have these 4 entities as a simple small implementation, and in a much bigger real-world application, there'd be a lot more. The intent and point of using AI models, such as DeepSeek for code generation, is to save a lot of time on boilerplate code, such as manually writing each entity and wiring it up to, say, entity framework. Repository pattern and unit of work are generally well known. Lots of documentation available, lots of examples, lots of code where AIs would have been learning and training on those examples. So I'm really expecting AI to not have a problem. Here's the generated code, and there are some issues. First issue with the unit of work, the constructor manually instantiates the DB context and then also the repositories. This is a very basic mistake leading to the unit of work being hard to test. Manually instantiating objects in constructor is generally not a good idea, especially when it comes to a DB context, which might be slightly more expensive to create. Lifetime management of the DB context, it should be reused or it should be reusable until there's an actual need to create a new one. This would be a similar case with the repositories. They might only need to be created once, then reused. So for now, DeepSeek to just get this basic dependency injection best practice wrong, a little bit surprising. Now, the second issue, this is going to be more of an opinion or more of a preference. Unit of work should not own or be a parent to repositories. Ideally, it should not know about them, because now every time there's a new repository to add, this unit of work implementation will have to be updated. The class has become some sort of God object that knows all the repositories. Most applications have more than 50 entities, meaning the unit of work now has more responsibilities not related to its core function. And then now to the actual repositories. There are methods which are too business logic specific, such as get low stock items for the inventory repository and get by order number for the order repository. In very simple terms, there's nothing wrong with these methods, but when new business logic is added, the repositories will also need new methods to handle a growing number of special cases. One option, it would be much better to have a clean, simple, generic repository that only has the 4 basic CRUD methods, then handle special cases outside of the repository. The bigger issue here now is that the topic of repository pattern always has a lot of different opinions, and there are different ways in which you can go about the implementation. But the bottom line is that AI-generated code still has to meet some sort of standard. A developer must actually have some detailed knowledge about what AI is meant to be doing, and when generating large repetitive boilerplate code with AI models, it might even be a good idea to have another model review the code. In this example, we're going to use Claude Sonnet. With the review, there's not a single area where the generated code scored at least a 9 out of 10, meaning most of the areas such as performance, flexibility, testability need some rework, and this is rework that developers are going to have to manually perform.